Howdy, my name's Dale. I live in Christchurch, New Zealand. I had Marfan syndrome. Early 2009, because I had the Marfans, I had to go in for yearly echoes on the heart, and it was picked up in the early January of 09 that I had a massive aneurysm in the aorta. So I was put on the selective surgery list. Then probably about a month before my surgery was scheduled to happen, I started getting, everything was slowing down. I was losing my breath walking. I was sweating profusely all the time, and I was tired, so tired all the time. But about a week before the surgery, I was around at a mate's house and having a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden, I was sitting upright in my chair like I am now, and next minute, I just face planted that table, uncontrollable, just knee-jerk reaction over a win. Massive pain in the chest, come over all hot and flush, and yeah, everything was, you could say it was a bit hazy for a couple of minutes there. I mate, because you're right, you're going white as a sheet, mate. What's going on? I said, oh yeah, just a chest pain, It's all good. I'm in surgery next week. They'll sort it out. That week leading up to the 5th of the 5th, 09, things just got worse and worse daily. Lack of energy was, less and less. Everything was harder to do. And a week before that had happened, I'd just become a solo father of 2 kids. Anakin was 2.5 and Achilles was 1.5. So on top of what was happening with me, I'm dealing with 2 toddlers, and it was hard to keep up. But anyway, skip forward a few days. It was the morning that I was the 4th of the 5th, 09. I was scheduled to be admitted into hospital, into the coronary care unit. And at 6 o'clock that morning, I got a phone call from Christchurch Hospital saying, oh, look, this is a funny thing, eh? The tool they use to dissect the aorta from the heart, there's only one in New Zealand. And that's shared between the North Island and the South Island, because New Zealand is made up of 3 islands, North Island, South Island, and Stewart Island. And I says to her, I don't think I've got the time. She goes, what do you mean? So I explained to her, look, when I walk, I sweat, I just want to sleep all the time. Everything is becoming so much of a chore to get done. My chest is hurting, something chronic, and it's getting hard to breathe, eh? Not enough oxygen getting in, because it was become a very shallow breathing. So she goes, hang on a minute, I'll ring you back. So wait about 5 minutes, she rings me back, she goes, get into come in now. So I got into the hospital, they were waiting for me, took me out, gave me an echo, and did the echo, they admitted me into the cardiothoracics ward. That was fine. And they actually, the reason why the tool couldn't arrive when it was meant to was because the hospital airplane had broken down, it was getting serviced. So they chartered a plane to fly this tool down to the South Island, Christchurch Hospital, and the 5th of the 5th, 09, I went in for elective surgery. That was fine. I had no hesitation with it, because living with Marfans, you can pop off just like that. So I've never had a fear of death, so to speak, per se. But that was fine. I remember that morning, because I'd taken a picture of my babies into the hospital with me, gave that a kiss, and said to it basically, hope to see you soon, boys. Went into surgery. Oh God, this is funny. The most thing I was worried about was when they take you into the surgery, right? But there's a room that they prep you up before they take you into the theatre itself. The thing I was worried about the most, and I keep saying, so you're going to put me to sleep before you put that catheter in, eh? And they're like, yeah, I'm like, good, I'm all good. Let's do this thing. So that's fine. Obviously, they put me under. I remember waking up in the ICU early the next morning. I'd wake up and I was like, oh God, God, I need water. My throat was killing me. And it was like, it felt like every hour I'd wake up, then the nurse was right there. Anyway, I got through that night because, apparently that's the important thing. And the next morning, my surgeon, his name was Har Singh, awesome chap, take my hat off to him, comes up to me and goes, Mr. Truman, you're a very lucky man. He goes, by all reasonable logic of medical science, you should have been dead. When they disconnected the heart, because they have to disconnect your heart to cut out the aneurysm to reattach the aorta to the heart, right? They flipped the heart over. My aortic valve had actually split at the top, so it was like this. My heart sac was half full of blood. But by all sense of the word, I should have already checked out. But by the graces of God, I didn't. Amazing. They were amazed. Like I'm like, wow, okay, cool. Awesome. We made it. That was fine. But, I spent that day in the cardiac intensive care unit. The next day, like they started taking the tubes out of my neck, et cetera, et cetera. Then they moved me the day after that to the cardiothoracics ward. The OT come in, she goes like, Mr. Truman, we've got to get you up on your feet ASAP because it's important to get walking, get them lungs inflated, and, start you on your physical therapy. I was like, yeah, no, all good. Like, the first day in cardiothoracics, there's no way I was getting out of bed. I was just, even though I felt sore, not so much sore, it felt like my chest was on fire, And but I felt so energized, and I had not felt that energized and free to breathe in such a long time. So that was an indicator to me that I was seriously crook as But that was fine. The next day after that, they come in, they took the tubes out of my lungs, they took the catheter out, and I was pleased about that because that's just not a cool thing. And the OT come in later that day, and in the cardiothoracics ward in Christchurch Hospital, around that ward they've got numbers from 1 to 10. And your objective is within 7 days you'll be able to walk from 1 to 10. Well, me being me, not one to be slowed down. I've never let morphines rule my life. I rule morphines. I walked out of the cardiothoracics ward, went down 3 flights of, down 3 levels, and walked out that main door, had me a cigarette. I know, shocking. But I'd already exceeded the getting to number 10 by the distance that I'd walked that day and the distance I'd walk back to get back to the ward. Now, I've watched this channel quite a bit, and I've heard a lot of stories in that. And I find some of it hard to relate to because I don't have fear. I don't get emotionally hung up on things. Like I had no PTSD. I had no hang-ups about if I did die during the operation because I've lived with that over my head all my life. As I say, Marfan syndrome, we're here for a good time, not a long time, which is usually the case. I come from a long history of Marfan in my family. My father's dead of it, my sister's dead of it, my uncle's dead of it, my grandfather's dead of it. My brother this year, last year had a type A and type B dissections. The one in the neck, which is very rare that anyone gets that, and as well as the aneurysm in the aorta itself. And 2 months after that, my niece was in hospital up north for I think it's called a Bendix procedure, where they wrap the artery rather than cutting the aneurysm out of the artery. So we've got a massive history of dissections in our family, aortic dissections, aneurysms exploding, etc. But my thoughts on it is that I listen to a lot of the I listen to a lot of conversations on here and people's own experience, and bless them, they made it awesome. Totally stoked for you. But I still find it hard to relate to the PTSD side of it because, I don't know, I just don't think that way. I don't get hung up on things. But they say it usually takes, Harsh Singh was saying that it usually takes 5 years for the swelling of the heart to come back to normal from when you've had the open heart surgery. My measurements had gone back to normal within 12 months. And I think I know the reason why for that. And there's only one simple reason. I have my babies to thank for that. Being a solo dad, having 2 kids under 3 years old, and doing it myself, I didn't sit around. I was up, I was changing nappies, I was making bottles, I was, cleaning up puke from, dairy allergic children. So, and plus, I was only 34 years of age, so I think that went in my favour quite a bit too. But the whole experience gave me a new lease on life that I hadn't seen before. Because when I was a young guy, I rode the bikes, I had the V8 cars, took the risks. But now I have more of an appreciation for smelling the roses, for watching a sunset, for experiencing the joy of being a parent. It was so life altering in that aspect of thing, but like a joyfulness, change of life. To reflect back on it, that was a massive turning point in my life where it gave me a more solid grounding, direction, and appreciation for people around me, for different cultures, for different foods, for different experiences, where, to grasp it and enjoy it, was never there before. It was just like, I don't care, I'm going to go drive that car hard, I'm going to ride that bike to its limits and don't care about the consequences. But I suppose now I think about the consequences, but the joy of something now is more intense. The flavour of something now is more intense. And, like after the op, probably took me about a good 6 months to get back up to full steam, where you're like, skip back a bit, sorry. When I come, after I spent a week in the I spent 2 days in cardiac ICU after the op. Then I went through to cardiothoracics, where I spent 7 days in cardiothoracics. Then I was discharged from cardiothoracics to a little hospital in North Canterbury to convalesce. I had to stay there for 4 weeks till my INR levels got come up to 2.5. Because the rip was that significant in the aortic valve, they had to put the St. Jude's valve in, because anything else, the rip was too significant. So they whacked in the mechanical valve, went up to the little hospital up in North Canterbury, spent 4 weeks there, get my stamina back up, get the warfarin levels right, and left there, then went back home and just got on with life. 6 months later, when I went back home, that was the point I was trying to make, was that I already formulated a plan. Right, my kids are little. They get up early, cool, I get up with them because I have to. I'm a solo dad, change their bums, make their bottles, give them brekkie, watch a bit of the Wiggles or whatever, they're into at the time, or Tom's the Tank Engine. But that was fine. But I decided, it's like, right, they're little. They have a couple of naps during the day. So when they're awake, get them done, get them sorted, make sure they're happy, content, play, educate, nurture, and do the housework, like the washing, et cetera, et cetera. But when they had their naps during the day, I sleep too. When they go to bed at night, because they're only little kids, like 6:30, 7 o'clock, that was them tucking for the night, I went to bed too. So I was getting them cat naps in and getting my rest in, as well as, functionally running my house and my family, which I think, in retrospect, that was the best thing how I could have managed it in myself. Because, so, yeah, I'll give a bit of credit to my children for my recovery. But, like the first I had to go in for many appointments with my cardiologist, Dougal McLean, top man. And they were just amazed. Like, having the Marfans, I was always very tall, very skinny. But after the operation, like harsh thing have said to me, your heart was that weak, and like aortic valve ripped, etc., where other organs like your breathing, your lungs, your kidneys, etc., they all slow down to compensate for the weak heart. So after the op, I went for like pre-op. I was, I think it was 76 kg, which is quite underweight for a 6'3" man. But after the like within a year after the op, I bounced up to 100 kg, and I'd never been that heavy in my life. But the one drawback to that was my blood pressure went through the roof. So I had to back off the second dinner, get it down to 90, blood pressure come right. I've never felt so alive in my life. Never. So anyway, as I was saying, like, the children were, such a big motivation for me. Being a solo dad, I have to live to raise my children because I can't raise them from a grave. So them being little, I come up with the idea, right, so once a day, we're going to go visit a different park in the area. My kids are only little and they'd run like mad and I'd be up behind them, running along, which helped create, build my stamina, build my, my energy levels. Now, I'll explain a wee bit. Both my boys have autism, right? They're on the ASD spectrum. So there was not a lot of, there was no verbal contact. It was all like, sign language and, stuff like that. But we went to a place called the Champion Centre that helps deal with preschoolers with autism, and the parent goes along. So having two boys with autism, I was there twice a week for 1 hour for each of the boys. And what I picked up the most from that is, and from what I've seen, and from what I'm pretty good with little kids. My sister calls me the Pied Piper of children. They flock to me because I'm a big kid myself and I like to goof around. One thing I picked up on was that to really connect with with my own boys, and as well as autistic children in general, you've got to become their friend. So they trust in you, and you can build that bond from there. So here's my YouTube channel, daap Gaming, a family-made YouTube channel. So my boys are into gaming, and I decided, right, this is how we can interact together and bond more as a family, and for me to be able to guide the boys into life. So we made daap Gaming, a family-made YouTube channel, which stands for Dale, Anakin, Achilles, Page, mine and my children's names. So we developed that. We've been going since we started the channel in 2016, basically, but we never promoted it really until 2018. And it's gone from there. We do like, Xbox gaming, record that, put our commentary in there. But recently, I'm losing eyesight because of the Marfans. I've got dislocated lenses, cataracts, glaucoma, etc. And because I'm a high risk and I'm blind in that eye, and that just does its own thing and wanders everywhere. But hey, let it be. It's its own person. So I changed to reinvented myself to doing fantasy art on my channel. Worked out how to use green screen into act pictures and videos and So, but my oldest son Anakin, he just got into it with me, into the gaming and learning how to edit the videos, and it's been a marvelous tool for me and him to be able to get that bond together, and for them to come under my wing as this dude does give a damn, and create that bond, that friendship, where I can guide and they will listen to direction and learn, which has been absolutely amazing. Then a few months, about a year or so later, I had my daughter come into my care. So at this point, I'm a solo father with 3 children all under the age of 5. So as you can imagine, there is no sitting around all day feeling sorry for yourself or sitting on your date thinking, I can't do it. I'm a solo father with 3 kids. I've got to damn do it. So you just get up and do it. But as I say, mate, I credit my children for the motivation. If they weren't here, would I have had the same attitude? Would I have moped around? If any advice that I could give to cardiac patient is, and like a survivor of an aneurysm or a dissection is, don't feel sorry, feel grateful that you're still alive, you get to live another day, because another day above ground is a blessing. Especially like having the Marfans, I've had a death sentence over my head ever since I was born. They said I'd never walk, I would never see my 5th birthday. I'm coming up to 50. I'm 50 years old this year. My youngest one, Paige, she starts high school next week. Other two are in high school. So much for not living to 5, eh? Doctors know a lot. Doctors are like mechanics. The way I see it is that they don't actually know what's happening until they go through a process of elimination. Now, they are textbook smart, yes, right? And a lot of assumptions they've made about me and my Marfans and my heart over the years have been that, assumptions. But all their assumptions never amounted to what they thought was going to happen. My heart operation, I was 34 years old when that happened. I went 29 years above their expectations. But, like my little sister, she died of a dissection when she was 2 months old. My uncle died of a dissection at 34 years old. My grandfather died of a dissection I think he was 38. Now, my dad, he is the longest living Truman to date, and he died at the age of 69. That was the most horrific experience of my life. He dissected in front of us. He had had a stroke earlier that morning. He was admitted into the hospital, so we all rushed up there because we, just go back for a minute. The night before my operation, my dad came to visit me in hospital. The look of terror on that man's face was, wow, it just blew me away, man. Absolutely blew me away. He was so scared, he was so worried. I'm laying there just thinking, wow, I've never seen my father so emotionally bankrupt in his life. And that really hit me again when he dissected in front of us. He had had that stroke. He's paralysed down his left side, right? So Dad's laying in bed, in the hospital bed like that. Next minute, he just went, whoa, and boom, up he goes like that. Grabs his chest and wham. I wish I'd never seen that. That will never, ever leave my mind. Crazy. The pain, astronomical. And that was exactly the same reaction as I was saying earlier. I was sitting at my mate's table. Next minute, I just face planted that table. Uncontrollable. That's when I think my aorta had ripped. It's the only logical conclusion. Personally, I should have checked out within what? I don't know, half an hour or whatever, the estimate was on that. I lasted damn well near a week. Then I had the whole operation. Everyone was blown away because I had a purpose. I had my kids come into my care, I think. I believe everyone's here for a purpose, for a fulfillment. You ain't checking out to, this is only my opinion. You're not checking out till you fulfilled your obligations for your purpose of being here. So, I consider myself a very, very lucky man. But, ever since that, I've had the only post-op complication that I had was, if I remember correctly, would have been about 2 months afterwards. I developed a slight blood clot in the left lung, and I've went to the doctor because I was finding it hard to breathe, you know, and it was very short. What freaked me out was the short, shallow breathing again. Couldn't get enough oxygen. I thought, oh, God, here we go again. So anyway, down to the GP I go. He gets his old, his listening device out. Sorry, I can't think of the name offhand. But he's got, Dale, mate, what's up? We're the kids. I says, my little sister's looking after me. You've got to go to the hospital, bring the ambulance. You've got a blood clot in your lungs, son. This is serious. I was not, I've had that before. You've got to get to the hospital. I was like, no. Being a tightwad, don't want to pay for the ambo, so I drive myself there. He's going, this time you need to go in the ambo, Dale. The look on his face, I was like, yeah, okay, doc, all good. But that was cool. It was, heaps of calypsane and stuff like that, thin the blood down. Tickety bomb within 3 days. I was back out of the hospital, back out home. Solid. But, that's the only complication. I've had no issues whatsoever since that valve's been replaced and that aneurysm's been cut out. All my echoes have come back with all, normal measurements. As I said, all my measurements were back down to normal in 12 months, where it should have, usually on average takes 5 years. So I don't know, I think it's that attitude of don't get yourself wrapped up in stress, because what's the biggest killer in life? Stress. Don't stress about it. Be grateful that you're still breathing. Yeah, you're going to have a procedure. Yeah, stuff's going wrong, but don't stress over it. Put your faith in the hospital. Put your faith in your surgeon. Your faith in your GP. At the end of the day, I did say, it's processable. It's like a mechanic. You walk in, your car's broken, right? They can't lift the bonnet and go, oh, yeah, okay, there's the problem there. It's a process of elimination to find the problem. And, at the end of the day, Harsh Singh, he's rated second best in the Southern Hemisphere. There was no way I was doubting his abilities. The guy's a genius in my mind, and I owe him my life because he saved my life. Good on you, Harsh Singh. Big shout out to you, brother. But anyway, Daap Gaming, like, comment, subscribe. Hope you've enjoyed this upload. Thank you to Aortic Hope and to all their followers. Keep the hope. Peace.